All right, gentlemen, this is literally a realization that I just had right now, and I had to make a fucking video on it for you, because if you have a vice right now, if you have a vice that might be alcohol like mine was, or you might smoke weed, or you might scroll on your phone, or you might game, and I bring these up because they're just the most generic ones that I can think of. But if you have any vice at all, right, this is going to go for you as well. And it's the fact I just realized that these are not the problem. And I know that sounds weird, and I know that sounds different to what other people will tell you, but they're not. They are not the problem. And I'm going to explain why. And really, I'm conceptualizing this as I'm thinking about it, but if you really think about it, they are the solution. They are what we use to escape the realities that we're living in right now. Right, and I'm saying all this, and this is all going to make a whole lot of sense because it's how I fell in love with working. It's how I fell in love with being addicted to the grind, addicted to the gym, wanting to chase success, all these sorts of things, so you can use them in your own life as well. And I just realized it. But basically, right now, there's something in your life that you want to escape from. So when you scroll on your phone, when you go on Instagram and you see a dream life, you might be into Lamborghinis, you might be into cars, you might be into a big fancy house, whatever it is for you, making heaps of money online or something like that. We use these as the easy way out, as the easy way to feel something that we're actually missing in our own life right now. And these things that we're missing, they derive not from just things that we're going through right now. They can derive from things we went through as a child, right? So I'll give you an example. My parents, when I grew up, they were separated, right? And that's a painful experience, obviously. Like, I'm not saying I didn't see either of them or anything like that, but watching them argue back and forth sort of thing, that's a painful experience to go through. And it can cause you to want to escape the reality that you're living right now without you even consciously knowing it. And I'm using this one as an example because it's the truth, right? Like, the stories that we're told, the things that we see growing up completely shape our identity, completely shape who we are up until this point in our lives. And it's a crazy concept to actually think about it like that. That things that we saw growing up, things that happened in our lives, directly correlate to our actions that we take right now, to the reality that we're living right now. Because what we saw growing up leads to the actions that we take right now, leads to our belief systems, which causes us to implement habits into our lives that cause us to feel the way that we feel now, to see the world the way that we see the world now. Right? And I say this because alcohol was the solution in my life. Right? I would go to work every single week and I wouldn't really know why I was there. I wouldn't really know what I was what I was working towards, what purpose I had in my life, why I got out of bed. And after work every single day I'd have a couple beers and lie to myself every day that tomorrow would be different. And then the weekend would roll around, and if alcohol's your problem, or it could be weed, you go through that mental fucking battle in your own head where when you smoke the weed and then you come off it, or when you drink the alcohol and you come off it, or drugs, when you come off it, you go through the mental process of like, oh my God, I'm never doing that again. But we forget how bad that feels. And then when it comes back to it, we know deep down in our own heads, at least I did, fighting the mental battle, like, it's a fucking battle. You're like, you know that you shouldn't do it. It's like a knot tied in your head. And we do it to escape the things that we tell ourselves, the lies that we tell ourselves, the things that we've been through in our lives, right? And I was watching a video on it earlier, which obviously this is where this sort of realization happened a few minutes later, but he was talking about the fact, Charlie Morgan, millionaire, fucking awesome dude. he was talking about the fact that like we all have things in our lives that we want, right? And we have these things like status, we have these sexual desires, we have these drives in our life, which is why people watch porn, which is why you might watch porn, which is why we drink like I did, right? We're trying to get the desire that we want that we can't have, right? So if you can't get a girlfriend right now, the reason that you resort to porn is for that very reason, because you want to feel the intimacy, but that is just a human nature drive through biology, right? And I know this sounds weird bringing up biology and all this, I'm sort of conceptualizing it as I speak, but like as men, we genuinely have drives that women don't. We have things that women don't. And these drives, if we don't have them in our lives, we look for the quick, easy fix to get the same feeling that that intimacy would give us, that the drinking would give us, that scrolling in our phones would give us. We look for the reality that we actually want to work towards, but we don't want to do the work, right? So we get stuck in this state of like, we want something, whether that be status. Like for me, I'm very status driven. I want to retire my dad, but that obviously would be fucking super sick, and it will be super sick when it happens. But a lot of the reason for that is the status on myself. And I'll say that open and honestly, right? Because of the self-actualization that I want, because of the feeling of accomplishment that I want, right? So it's not just derived from retiring him. It's derived from the thought process of, holy shit, imagine how sick, imagine how much status, imagine how good I'd look if I retired my father. And like, the beautiful thing about this is that you've got to know, if you are using any of these vices as a solution, is that I didn't realize it either until like just now, but I fell in love with the work. I fell in love with working out. That's what gives me dopamine now. That's what fulfills me now. Personal development, reading books, trying to get better, trying to improve. And it's not because I'm better. It's not because I don't cope with the things that I went through in my life. It's because I realized and adapted my mind, my subconscious mind, to want to do the work, to get to where I want to get to. And I swapped the bad habit with the good habit, right? So you can channel the problems that you're facing right now to solutions that are actually going to benefit you in your life. And then eventually what happens is you get caught in this massive, massive positive habit loop. And I've talked about it so many fucking times, but I've never been able to express it like the way I am right now, because I never quite fully understood it. Like I thought I did, but it wasn't until now where I was like, holy shit. The reason that I love the gym, the reason that I love the work, the reason that I love reading books, the reason that I love doing all these things is because it gives me that same feeling that the alcohol gave me. And I'm just realizing now that alcohol was my status symbol. Not the alcohol itself, but the feeling that I got when drinking. The feeling that I got when I was out on the weekend, because I could drink a lot. I'd drink more than most people, right? And everyone knew me as the guy that could drink a lot, right? And I'm realizing now that gave me that feeling of my phone ran out of storage, but we're back. And it gave me that feeling that I was actually worth something, that I was good at something, because I failed college, right? And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know that. And I used drinking to escape that reality, and the drinking made me feel good. So that was the solution to my problem, right? That I wasn't living up to what I was doing. But the reason that I failed college is that I didn't know why I was there. It was the exact same when I was working. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. And now that I do, now that I actually have a purpose to work towards, it completely disappears. It's not the fact that like I don't need to It's like I didn't even swap. Well, I did. I swapped the drinking and fell in love with another process, another habit formation, another habit loop that allowed me to change, that allowed me to feel that same feeling of accomplishment. Because when I do the work, when I know what I'm working towards, when I'm progressing, it gives me that exact same feeling as what drinking did. And for you to know this, and I'm telling you this because you don't have to use negatives to solve your problems, right? You can use positives. You just have to figure out and find what it is that you actually want. What are you actually trying to fulfill out of your life, right? So sit down for like 5 minutes now and literally think about it. Why do you do the actions that you do? So if you scroll on your phone, what are you watching on your phone? And why do you watch it? Actually think about it just for 5 minutes. I guarantee you your life will change. Because if you sit there and actually think, oh my God, I'm watching Lamborghinis, I'm watching cars, I'm watching all these things, figure out where that derives from and what you actually want. So do you want status? Because very, very, very little of the time do we use these materialistic items just because we want the materialistic items. We want what comes with it, the tagline that comes with it. When we want to hang out with our friends, we want the feeling of feeling wanted. And I know this sounds fucking stupid for a guy to say things like this, but we still want shit. We still want to feel a certain way. And you can use positives in your life. You can find things that fulfill the exact feeling that you're looking for through the pain that you're going through right now. You can find positives to work towards in your life. And this is going to be one of the most scattered YouTube videos that I'm going to post anyway, because this is one that I never ever want you to forget or ever forget. But it's like mind-blowing when you actually think about it. We are driven by a certain want, a certain desire that we need, but we use vices to escape the reality that we're living in. And that's pretty much the fact that we're not getting what we want, so we use the vice to feel the way we would feel if we had that thing. Right? If we had the status, if we had the feeling of being wanted, all these sorts of things. And yeah, this absolutely blew my fucking mind. I have so much to work on. I have so much to do now for you guys. There's so much internal thoughts running through my head right now that like I'm about to explode. But just know from this YouTube video that you doing the bad habit isn't actually driven. That isn't the problem. That is not the problem. It's the solution, which means you know that you can change the solution. You can find something that fulfills your need, and that is what I'm going to be working on. That's what I'm going to figure out. Because I fell in love with the gym. I fell in love with the work. And now the work is going to become, how do I make the same thing happen for you? That is my life mission right now. Holy shit. You're catching this breakthrough right now. But yeah. It's the solution, not the problem. I promise you. So get after it. Figure it out. Sit down. Do that 5-minute thing that I told you to do. Genuinely. Oh my God. I'm mind blown.